Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, soon to be Saturday. My name is Andrew Hall. You may call me Dr. Kennard. So many stories we're covering today. First, technical issues. There were a few technical issues this morning. I think I resolved them. Maybe. Perhaps not. Okay. What are we doing? We're going to be covering Joe Biden. Did he declare war on the unvaccinated? No, he didn't declare war on the unvaccinated. But he is bringing the hurt. He is bringing not the hurt, right? If you're unvaccinated at this point, if you don't have a medical reason, like a legitimate medical reason for not getting vaccinated, then yeah, Joe Biden bringing the heat. He's bringing the heat. We're going to talk about variants, 3 variants, quick review of the variants. We're going to talk about a victim who got their payout. And of course, the victim, right, from a victim of the Catholic Church. And we're going to talk about Elizabeth Holmes. I saw the documentary about Elizabeth Holmes and her scam. Yeah, she was a big-time grifter. Her story is incredible. I saw a documentary on her the other day. And it's called The Inventor. It's on HBO Max. Someone smarter than me probably knows more about Elizabeth Holmes than I do in the chat. But we're going to be talking about some of her ways of scamming old white Republican men out of their money. I know, if she wasn't so evil, I would be applauding her right now. But she's in the middle or the beginning stages of her trial, and evil she is, even though she did rip off a bunch of, like I said, old white Republican men. You want to do something funny? We should do something funny before diving into the news cycle. Let's do this thing, everyone. Okay, I found that funny. Maybe you didn't find that funny. Did you find that funny, microphone? Microphone did find it funny. All right, that's good. All right, go and check out the chat. See what's going on out there. Animus Vegas. Is that I don't know if that has anything to do about animals or the vagus nerve, or maybe the vagus nerve or Vega. I think it's the vagus nerve in animals. I don't know, but good morning to you. Good morning to you. Yeah, I had technical difficulties. That's why I started the show 20 seconds late, as against to my regular 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Good morning, John Hudson. Hope your friend does appear for the after party after show, which is at 10 o'clock. The after party after show for atheists, progressives, and humanists. There is a link if you want to be on the panel in the description below, everyone. Tobin Templeman, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Dr. Mordecai. Let's see who else is here. Jess M. And Donna. Hello, Donna, the Divine Sorcerer. Glad to see that you're here. And Scott Duke. Good morning, Scott Duke. Yeah. So what do I have for announcements? I am going to be on the Free Thought Profit show tonight at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what we're talking about. We got a panel. I think they just invite me to be the comic relief, maybe the dummy. I don't know, the midst of smart people. But I am going to be on their YouTube channel. Supposedly we're talking about philosophy. I don't know. I might bring out some old jokes or some otherwise obvious insights about some philosophers or philosophy. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm always, because Seamus co-hosts the Free Thought Prophet, right? And he does Atheist Drinking Out Loud with me and Neil the 604 Atheist. And his co-host, John. John is one of those scary, smart people that I have to be careful around, you know? I have to make sure the jokes are clean. Otherwise, he'll call me out on my references. What's up? Remember, Sammy Jenkins. All right. Meow, meow, Grand Farmer. That's right. All right. You want to do some memes before we jump into Joe Biden taking on anti-vaxxers? So that is a pretty good story, I have to tell you. All right, first meme. Is God always with you? Yes, he is, and always saves me. Oh, and here's the test. Tough but fair, everyone. Tough but fair. All right, that was brutal. That was brutal and uncalled for. Let's do something a little bit funnier, a little bit softer, a little bit more gentle. Science fact: a dog gets more factual evidence from sniffing another dog's butt than a human does from watching Fox News. I believe that 100 and a gazillion percent right there. This one may not be appropriate for younger audiences. This might have some kind of mature material to this meme, everyone. Me to the left, psychedelics punching me out, and also me eating popcorn, watching it all. Oh, that was good. The last one I thought was the best out of the lot. It showed a certain amount of inspiration there. All right, Tesla Ranger, hello. God saves your soul. He doesn't care about your body, allegedly. Yeah, God, it's all for his glory, right? It's all for God's glory. I don't know if you saw, if anyone's read, I put a link in the description. Oh, no, not in the description, but in the chat about my newest my newest satirical piece over at Laughing in Disbelief. The blog on the Patheos Non-Religious channel, it's about uterus insurance. Maybe it's about abortion insurance. Of course, it's, once again, it's a comical little bagatelle. It's a small piece, but I was pretty happy with it. I was pretty happy. It's about an insurance coverage for uteruses in Texas. Once again, a little dark humor here, but is that what you're here for? I think that's what you're here for. God needs therapy. God needs a lot of things. All right, first story, everyone. Joe Biden taking it to the unvaccinated, everyone. Sweeping new vaccine mandates for 100 million Americans. Link in the description to the full article. I saw snippets of Joe Biden's speech. He seemed much more focused than he usually is. And I'm going to digress for a minute and tell me if I'm wrong, is that really the presidency, as we know it, should be divided into two specific jobs. There should be two people being president at the same time. One person, excuse me, I don't want to be sexist. One person would be the real president and would be actually doing the work of the presidency. The second person, who would be co-president, would be the hype person. They would just be the person that would work the press, talk to the press, do public ceremonies, because you see how difficult it is to get a person who is really good with hype over here and a person who is really good with actually doing the job into one person. It's close to impossible to get a person who is good with the hype and good with the numbers and good with the facts. That's my attempt at insight this morning, by the way. But let's talk about Joe Biden. Let's talk about the new mandates dropping on the unvaccinated. Good news overall. We're going to start off this Friday morning with good news. Oh, wait a minute. I got to get up here. And there we go, John Hudson. All right, Washington. In his most forceful pandemic words and actions, President Joe Biden on Thursday announced sweeping new federal vaccine requirements affecting as 100 million Americans in an all-out effort to increase COVID-19 vaccinations and curb the surging Delta variant. Speaking at the White House, Biden sharply criticized the roughly 100 million Americans who are not yet vaccinated, despite months of availability and incentives. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us, he said, all but biting off his words. The unvaccinated minority can cause a lot of damage, and they are. I don't know about you, but this is probably the toughest I've heard Joe Biden yet. The expansive rules mandate that all employers with more than 100 workers require them to be vaccinated to test for the virus weekly, affecting about 80 million Americans. And there are roughly 17 million workers at healthcare facilities that receive Medicare or Medicaid will have to be fully vaccinated. Biden is also signing an executive order to require vaccination for employees of the executive branch and contractors who do business with the federal government, with no option to test out. That covers several million more workers. So if you're a contractor and you work with the federal government, you have to get vaccinated. There's no, oh, I'm going to get tested every week or so. You're going to need to get vaccinated. At least that's what the executive order says. After months of using promotions to drive the vaccination rate, Biden is taking a much firmer hand as he aides blamed people who have not yet received shots for the sharp rise in cases that is killing more than 1,000 people a day and imperiling a fragile economic rebound. In addition to vaccination requirements, Biden moved to double federal fines for airline passengers who refuse to wear masks on flight or to maintain face covering requirements on federal property in accordance with CDC guidelines. I just don't know why they don't go to jail. If you can, in a country that's jail happy, let's face it, we have a lot of people who should not be in jail, who are in jail, people who engage in sex work, people who do nonviolent drug crimes. And yet these COVIDiots, these plague rats who are on planes refusing to wear masks, they just get a fine. I say you just go to jail. 30 days in county, maybe. Maybe that would wake up some Karens. Maybe that would wake up some cul-de-sac warriors. The requirement for large companies to mandate vaccinations or weekly testing for employees will be enacted through a forthcoming rule from OSHA, basically, that carries penalties of $14,000 per violation. An administration official said the White House did not immediately say when it would take effect, but said workers would have sufficient time to get vaccinated. The rule would also require that large companies provide paid time off for vaccination. So that's good. That's good news. Biden's order. Here we go. Biden's order for executive branch workers and contractors includes exceptions for workers seeking, here it comes, everyone, grit your teeth, religious exemptions. All right, so it's religious or medical exemptions, but medical exemptions are legitimate. But why, if you have this imaginary friend called God, or gods, I don't want to leave the Hindus out, would you be exempted from something reality-based? There shouldn't be any. One, let's go over the basics. People who don't wear masks in airplanes should go to jail. I think we all are in agreement with that. And two, there should be no medical exemptions about the vaccines in general. And there shouldn't be any, and I'm going to go back a bit and say it's common sense that parents don't have the right to kill their own children, that children should get vaccinated regardless of their parents' belief in fictitious deities. Federal workers and contractors will have 75 days to get fully vaccinated. Workers who don't comply will be referred to their agency's HR departments for counseling and discipline, to include potential termination. Sure, there's no such thing as a magic bullet. This isn't going to cure the problems of idiots here in the States, but at least Biden's being a little bit more forceful. going to check out the chat before we go to the next story about the LA school systems mandating vaccinations. Yeah, I know, right? Don't you get tired of just hearing about COVID every freaking day? I do. But like I said, it would be like being back in the Middle Ages, right? Being in the Dark Ages. And what's the news cycle about today? Well, it seems to be a lot of Black Death. The news cycle seems to be dominated by the bubonic plague. All right, checking out comments here, everyone. 4 days until the second jab. Good job. Happy to hear that, remember. And I imagine that's 4 days until everyone within your family or people who can get it, can get the jab. That's good. Grant Farmer said you got tested on Wednesday, but the result came back negative. Congratulations. Cryptameria. Don't work in healthcare if you're anti-vax. Find a new job is what they said in British Columbia. Is that BC? British Columbia? That's right, because if you're unvaccinated and you're working with people with impaired immune systems, you're a spreader, basically, if nothing else, or you're a potential spreader, and you're going to kill people. All right. Checking out the chat one more time. John Hudson. Joe has been taking his Prevagen for sharper mind function. So Andy is in favor of harm reduction, my friend. Anyone who's watched this channel, it's all about harm reduction here. As I've said on other people's channels, I will take the slow rot from Joe Biden over the acceleration towards fascism under Donald Trump. That's what I am. And everyone knows here, right, that I voted for Howie Hawkins in the last election cycle. I voted for Howie Hawkins of the Green Party because I live in a blue state and we have a winner-take-all system with electoral votes, and this state was going to go Democrat. So I just wanted to, in my defense of Joe Biden, I just want to say I did vote for Joe Biden. Wow, that sounds kind of wussy, right? Waffleish. All right. So, the thing is simply speculative, because this is the exact same conversation I had with my girlfriend. She goes, why doesn't the vice president do the work? It's like the vice president, I think, from what I understand, the vice president is actually busy, is actually doing stuff, right? And the separation of executive powers in certain governments, historically speaking, hasn't, we've seen it before, right? I think the Roman Republic had 2 consuls, 2 people at the same time holding executive power. Sure, it wasn't a perfect system. And once again, this person, you want the vice president to be able to do stuff, to engage, to be smart. This hype person that I am suggesting to be co-president would just be that. They would just be the PR person. All right. What are we going to do? Are we going to talk about LA? We're going to talk about Los Angeles. And what's this video I'm about to share? That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that, microphone. Los Angeles school officials order vaccine for students 12 and up. What? They're going to force kids to have the vaccine? That sounds like the devil, right? Wasn't that in the book of Revelation? I don't know. Well, here it is, everyone. LA school officials order vaccines for students 12 and up. Let's do it.
Item passes. Thank you.
School officials in Los Angeles County ordered vaccines for students 12 and up in a unanimous vote on Thursday. LA County is the largest school district in the country to mandate shots, and the orders will apply to more than 600,000 students. That's despite angry objections from several parents who said they were worried about the safety of vaccines and that they had the right to make the decision for their children. Interim Superintendent Megan Riley spoke after the vote.
As the second largest district in the country, with a richly diverse student population, we know the impact and experiences with COVID-19 are varied, and that there are different levels of comfort and discomfort with the vaccine and other COVID-related safety measures. We recognize this. But along with these truths, our charge remains clear: to provide students with the best education possible, which includes the many benefits of in-person education. The science is clear.
Almost 3/4 of the district's students are Latino. Board members have noted a distrust in the government among immigrant parents who had concerns over vaccine safety, though they said they would make efforts to convince them otherwise. Thursday's decision will not affect a minority of students in LA County who have opted to remain home. Exemptions can also be made for medical or religious reasons. The board had previously ordered all staff be inoculated.
Religious reasons. Come on. Come on, everyone. It's a pandemic. People are dying, but I have my thoughts and feelings, and they have to be respected, regardless of the evidence, regardless of the safety of my children. My thoughts and feelings mean a lot to me. Fuck them, right? Fuck those parents. You know, it's one thing to take your own life. You know, not to take your own life, to put your own life at risk, right? It's a totally other thing to put another person's life at risk. And those parents, they're just, I don't know. We've talked about it a million times. And it seems like we've tried the carrot, different types of carrots. And now, if we got to use the stick, I'm not against using the stick to get people to do what needs to be done. In fact, before the pandemic, I advocated, you know, if necessary, getting children vaccinated, even if it means doing it at bayonet point in terms of getting the parents to agree, because parents do not own their children. I want to say this again. When they talk about parental rights, parents do not own their children. Parents are regents. We are only there to protect our children, to nurture our children up until the time that they become adults. We don't own children. And I am going to say it over and over again. I am. Next story. I know it's getting close to the halftime tummy rub show, everyone. I know it is. I know. I'm running long today, I guess. What's the next story? Nope, not the sweeping vaccine mandates. 3 concerning variants that have caught scientists' attention since Delta emerged, and here's how they compare. This is from Business Insider. Link to the article in the description below. I know that yesterday, I think we were talking in the after party about the different variants that are out there. And so this is just a cursory, just a look, an overview. After the Delta variant took the world by surprise this summer, scientists have been keeping a lookout for the next worrisome coronavirus strain. 3 in particular, Mu, Lambda, and C12, have caught scientists' attention recently since they share a few key similarities with other variants of concern. Like Delta, these 3 variants show signs of being highly transmissible, resistant to the immune defenses generated by vaccines, or both. But none is spreading faster than Delta, an indication that Delta will remain the world's dominant strain for at least the near future. And the reason why they're saying for the near future is because, of course, those of us who understand evolution know that things mutate. The virus is going to mutate. Delta represents 60% of the coronavirus infections worldwide, according to Scripps Research Outbreak.info tracker. The 3 new variants represent a much smaller share, but they've each spread to several continents. So let's take a quick look at some of the variants here. Mu is a variant of interest, and that's what the World Health Organization said last month. The term applies to variants that may cause significant transmission or have genetic changes that could alter the way the virus behaves. At the time, WHO scientists were concerned because Mu had spread quickly in South America since May. But globally, Mu represents just 0.1% of the new cases, according to data from, I'm going with Guy said, a global database that collects coronavirus genomes. In total, the variant has been detected in 45 countries since it was detected in Colombia in January. The prevalence of Mu cases has also declined both globally and in South America since July. And I'm going to end that panel there since, we're running up against time right now. So Mu doesn't seem to be too dangerous in comparison to the Delta variant. It's not blowing up in terms of cases. The next variant, well, last month, several elderly residents in a nursing home in Belgium died of Mu infections despite being fully vaccinated. Italian researchers have found that Pfizer's vaccine still neutralizes the Mu variant, even though, of course, the vaccine offers better protection against the original version of the virus. Next variant, Lambda, has been spotted in 40 countries since it was first identified in Peru. The variant represented around 12% of South America's new coronavirus at its peak in mid to late June. WHO designated Lambda a variant of interest around that time. Now Lambda represents less than 3% of South America's new infections. So that is also positive. It hasn't blown up. It hasn't gotten any larger than the Delta variant. And what's the last variant? C12 has not been labeled a variant of interest yet. First detected in South America. And I'm just going to jump down here. But South America's cases have declined considerably in the last month, even though the variant has spread to most provinces there. Globally, C12 cases seem to peak in early July, suggesting the variant isn't becoming more prevalent. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't another variant being cooked up or evolving right now, of course, because we already know that they are. But those three variants don't seem to be blowing up. They aren't going to be taking the Delta variant off from its throne of transmissibility or danger. Yeah, we do need a hype person. We just need a competent person. You can say that for anyone, Dave. Save it for the after show. You can just say that for any position. There's some kind of logical fallacy there. Let's see. Checking out what's going on today. What's in the chat? Lambda. That's right, John. Lambda. So glad my kids aren't American. I'm glad your kids aren't American too. I'm trying to get, like I said, I'm trying to get my 16-year-old to go to college up in Canada or some other country. We'll see what happens. Let's see. I think I'm caught up with the chat. It's time for the halftime tummy rub show where we do a little bit of comedy, make ourselves feel better about, the state of the world. This is when I say, hey, how about hitting the like button if you find some kind of value in whatever I do here, whatever we do here, to tell you the truth, because this is obviously a group project. Please hit the subscribe button. And hey, no ads. There's no ads here on this channel. And when you actually support this channel, you also support the blog too. When you're a patron, you support what I do here in this space, but also what I do on the blog, Laughing in Disbelief, over on the Patheos non-religious channel. I thought I would point that out. But now you're saying, shut up, Andy. Play something funny. Do the funny thing there. Push the button. And that's what I'm going to do right now.
Does anyone else think it's super weird being an adult? Like I'm just unsupervised all the time. It's so unsafe.
It is. It's unsafe. Unsupervision. I don't know, not being supervised as an adult. I don't know when any of you first realized what adulthood actually means about not being supervised. And you could eat snack at any time of the day that you want to. It isn't like your mom or your nan told you could only have snack at a certain time of the day, but then you realize I can snack whenever I want to. That's dangerous right there. I think that every day. Yeah. You're waiting for the, and then, okay, so if there was an Omega variant, would the next variant would be the Alpha Omega, because they would start putting two Greek letters together for that would be awesome. It would be the Alpha, the Omega variant, right? Okay. Oh, I like that. It's Simply Secular Dave. I hope that when COVID gets the X variant, they call it Xenu just to piss off science hillage. I like that. That's clever. All right. So what are we doing next? You know, I really want to talk about Elizabeth Holmes. And I'm just going to tee up this story. It isn't the story we're going to be doing next. But Elizabeth Holmes is just someone who was such a good con artist. I saw the recent special on HBO Max called The Investor, I believe the name of it is. And once again, the name of the woman is Elizabeth Holmes. And it's about 2 hours, I believe. The girlfriend and I sat down and watched it. And the level that she was willing to go, how dedicated she was for her scam, absolutely amazing. You know, in terms of scam artists, I mean, I hate con artists, I hate grifters, but how they do their grift, it's fascinating to me, because what it does is that it really shows you how people can hack our stupid monkey brains and get us to do stupid things in ways that's really against our own best interests, right? It's against our own best interests. And she was able to con a bunch of people. She helped affect laws. She helped change laws in Arizona for her to do this grift. And it is absolutely remarkable. Man, I'm still, now I just want to talk about Elizabeth Holmes. And now I just want to play this video. This is a case of capitalism gone wrong. Oh, I mean, capitalism gone wild. And she's actually looks like she's going to be getting some jail time out of this. And you know what? I've talked so much about Elizabeth Holmes. I'm going to play the video and then do that story. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Because it's Friday. We're going to rip up the script here, everyone. This video is Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes fraud trial gets underway. And this is like a small primer about her and about her grift.
Tonight, Elizabeth Holmes facing the test of her life. The 37-year-old arriving in court, her appearance a far cry from the Steve Jobs-inspired black turtleneck she frequently wore as the founder of Theranos, a $9 billion blood testing company the prosecution alleges was based on a lie. This is a case about fraud, about lying and cheating to get money, the prosecutor said. Holmes has been charged with multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy to commit fraud.
We'd like to see a world in which every person gets access to this type of basic testing.
Her promise to revolutionize the way blood is drawn captured popular imagination. Her face splashed across magazines and celebrated as Silicon Valley's most successful self-made female CEO.
I've been so impressed by your dogged determination.
Convincing some of the world's wealthiest and most powerful that, thanks to her technology, only a pinprick would be required to conduct hundreds of diagnostic blood tests. Today, the prosecution alleging she used the technology for only a fraction of the actual tests, defrauding not only her investors, but also doctors and patients. Theranos was producing dangerously inaccurate results, the prosecutor said, pointing to faulty tests, including those for pregnancy and cancer, that gave patients the wrong information. Problems the prosecution says she was well aware of. The defense painting a very different picture. Ms. Holmes did not go to work every day intending to lie, cheat, and steal, arguing trying your hardest and coming up short is not a crime. So is Elizabeth Holmes a con artist or simply a failed entrepreneur? What a jury decides will determine if she's...
Look, she's a con artist. You be a con artist and a failed entrepreneur. But she is 90% con artist. Once again, if you see the documentary on Elizabeth Holmes, it is clear what she was doing. Her vision, everyone, was that with just a pinprick, because people are afraid of needles, right? If you've ever gotten blood taken out of you, you know, they might have to take vials of blood out of you. What the con was, what the idea was, is that with just a little pinprick, you would be able to take this blood, and do like a gazillion tests on it, a gazillion tests. But not only would you be able to do all these tests, but the test would be done automatically in this machine. And it wasn't a big machine either. So in other words, you wouldn't have to send your blood sample to a lab to get this done. You would just prick your finger, take the sample, put it into a machine, and it would basically poop out all the results of many, not just one blood test, like your cholesterol test, for example, but it would test like kidney functioning, a whole variety of tests. Now, the only problem with this is that the machines didn't work, but she kept telling people the machines worked. And if you heard her voice, right? If you just heard her voice, you're going, what a weird voice she has. Well, this was part of the con too, was that that's not her real voice. Everything about this woman was sculpted from, or just packaged in a way to con people, to get investor money, to feed the beast of Theranos. And yes, Sammy Jenkins, I saw that. As soon as I saw Theranos, I'm going, that's awfully close to Thanos. So she crafted this image of herself, all in black, just like Steve Jobs. Even the way how she looks into the camera in that diffused attention kind of way, almost spectrum-y, everyone, that she was packaging herself as a blonde, pale, blue-eyed young woman, and she squeezed old men for money that they've paid her junk industry, her junk company. And now she is on trial. And that's a segue to the next story, to tell you the truth, because she's such a fascinating character. And once again, it just shows you how con artists, whether you're a capitalist con artist or a mega preacher con artist. I know mega preacher con artists are capitalist con artists, but you know what I'm trying to say here, right? I'm going to check out the chat before diving into this next story, or the same story, but just a different facet of it. Oh, comments aren't leading. Okay. She did it was a bit, yeah, it was bait and switch. What she was doing, Cryptameria, and she does deserve an Oscar. She was really good. I mean, that's what's so incredible about her, is that she was so good at her grift. It lasted so long, and she kept doubling down on each and every lie as it was being exposed. It was incredible. Let's see. Yes, Theranos. Yes, exactly. Tesla Ranger. A lot of Thanos there. Okay, let's go to the next. Let's go and get a little bit deeper into Elizabeth Holmes and her grift. Let's go to the first panel here. So this is crazy, right? So this woman, who's a grifter, bilked a lot of people out of billions of dollars. This just shows you how crazy our species is, everyone. Let's take a look at this article. Elizabeth Holmes lookalikes show up to her Theranos fraud trial dressed up like her. Wear fans. And this is the, you know what Dostoevsky said? The author, Dostoevsky, he said that we are rebellious slaves. We are rebellious slaves. And this is, if nothing else, a sign of that kind of rebellious lavishness that we have as a species. Here she is, putting on her act. She was huge before the bubble burst. Before the bubble burst. Here it is. Elizabeth Holmes fans showed up at her fraud trial dressed like her. 3 women were photographed dressed in black suits with their hair in messy blonde buns. Holmes' appearance was an oft-discussed aspect of her tenure at Theranos as Theranos' CEO. Holmes founded Theranos while she was a student at Stanford University. The company was built on the premise that it could run blood tests to detect medical conditions like cancer or high cholesterol using only a finger pinprick and a small drop of blood. Theranos went on to raise over $700 million from investors, including Oracle founder Larry Ellison and famed venture capitalist Tim Draper. Holmes's appearance was an oft-discussed aspect of her tenure as Theranos' CEO. The startup's high-profile investors, its massive $9 billion valuation, and its rise as a media darling seemed to affect Holmes's attitude, manner of dressing, and even manner of speaking. She counted late Apple CEO Steve Jobs as one of her personal heroes, and she began to adopt his emphasis on extreme secrecy and his penchant for black turtlenecks. Like Jobs, Holmes never took vacations, though she was banging her one of her people there, of course, her second in command. But that's how crazy this story is. Of course, it's like a cult, everyone. There's secrecy. There are people trying to get out of the cult. There are lawyers going after those whistleblowers. Next panel. Oh, come on. Next panel. Holmes was known for her uncharacteristically deep voice, which former employees have alleged was part of her carefully crafted image, a way to help her fit into a male-dominated business world. One employee said on an ABC podcast called The Dropout that Holmes sometimes fell out of character, particularly after drinking, and would sometimes speak in a higher voice. As writer Amanda Mull pointed out on the outline, Holmes's badly applied makeup and messy, dry-looking hair, often shoved haphazardly into a bun, was part of the persona as well, and implied that Holmes was too busy and important to care about her hair and makeup, Mull argued. The cultivated image and Theranos' spectacular rise and fall has led to public fascination with her and countless Halloween costumes depicting the former CEO. A grifter, but yet her loyal fans are still dressing up like her on the days of her trial. It's crazy. Definitely check out the HBO. No, I'm not getting paid for this. It's just a great documentary on Holmes. I think it's called The Inventor. And I think it's on HBO Max. It's worth a gander if you have it. Hey, Brainbug. Didn't know the Brainbug was here. Always good to see Brainbug. Well, this is the problem. Brainbug, right? When are we going to stop making billionaires into folk heroes? They aren't the white knights. They are the wealth hoarding dragons. They are. Thank you for Simply Secular Dave, the documentary on Thanos. You learn a lot about Silicon Valley culture and about the big con. Just call it Thanos, Sandy. It is. I am inevitable. That's what Thanos would say. Quote fingers. It would be quote fingers. Yeah, that was her move, right? Oh, man. I think I caught up. 14. Oh, yeah. 14 watching and 14 likes. Well, that doesn't suck, right? Yeah, check out the documentary. It's definitely worth your time. And once again, it's an insight, and it's something for us skeptics to take lessons from, right? I have to tell you, and the documentary compares her with Thomas Edison. So there's these really cool, kind of like 1920s old-timey film sliced into the documentary, and some 1920. I'm not doing the documentary justice, but it's a beautiful film and it's quite informative. All right. Hey, what's up, B? Well, there's a lot of there are, we are talking about lawyers here in the chat, and the way that she was silencing and manipulating people were through some very high-powered lawyers. And the lawyer, I believe she has at her trial, and I'm going to bring it back old school for everyone. If you remember Enron, they're definitely doing the same legal strategies as the people at Enron used when that company went belly up. Wow. So passionate about grifters. They're just fascinating people. Next story, last story. 30 years later, a victim of predator priest receives $1 million in legal settlement. Now, I make decisions about what parts of the stories I'm going to share with you. This is about a gentleman who went to a middle school and a high school, and he was sexually abused. Now, Hammett decided that he was going to put in some of the, some aspects of the story about this gentleman's abuse at the hands of a priest. I'm not going to include that because I think when I say priest abuse, sexual abuse, you all have a good idea of what I mean by that. I don't have to get into the specifics of the abuse. I don't think I have to. Let's go on, and I'm going to, once again, the link to the full story is in the description. Let's see. So Rapson, who's the priest, he was sentenced to 12 years in jail after he was found sexually assaulting 6 different boys from 1976 to 1990. So the priest is in jail. And the gentleman who was the abused, his last name is, and I'm going to butcher his name, Monagle. There seemed to be an open question of whether he would receive anything as part of a financial settlement. Now, the Catholic school knew that Rapson, the priest, was a predator, yet kept him on anyway. Surely they had to pay something to make up for their indifference. Monagle's situation was also complicated because he had a spotty work history and a criminal record, and it made it difficult to calculate how much money he was owed for his trauma and repercussions. Still, he's had a fight for battle for years, even though there's no longer any question about guilt. So this gentleman, Monagle, for some reason, to tell you the truth, I'm going to be just bold right here, that everyone who knew about the predator priest in the school and didn't whistleblow on this guy or didn't do anything about this guy, they should all be in jail, right? I'm not a pro-jail person, but let's face it, unless people go to jail, as against to just paying fines, large institutions paying fines, this behavior won't be stopped. People, either organizations need to go bankrupt, and people have to go to jail. If you knew about it and didn't do anything about it, then you need to go to jail. In a functioning society, in a healthy society, that's what would happen. Now, tell me if I'm wrong on this, chat. If you've been systematically raped by a priest at any time, as a child, it doesn't matter what your work history is. It doesn't matter if you've had run-ins with the law, considering that probably part of your social maladaptation is from the sexual abuse. If anything, you should get paid more. Because even though this gentleman is getting $1 million, a lot of that's going to go to legal fees. This poor guy, he shouldn't have to work. The Catholic Church has a lot of money. Bleed them dry. I have to tell you, when you go in I'm going to back it up a little bit about Boston. You go down Boston, you go around to areas of Boston, there's a lot of old Catholic churches that are now condominiums. That are now complexes. And why is that? It is because of the child sex abuse scandal, and the Catholic Church had to pay off a lot of people. And that meant they had to sell off a bunch of properties. You heard of turning swords into plowshares. I say we turn churches into condominiums. Mr. Monagle's lawyer, Viv Waller, said he would receive $1,012,000. Okay, that about a little bit over $1 million, which would be managed by the courts to help fund stable accommodation and medical treatment. The settlement is the largest recorded award for psychiatric injury in Victoria, Dr. Waller said. The settlement also requires that the Salesians, which I guess is the cult, the sect, the Catholic group, cover Mr. Monagle's legal costs. Okay, so that's good. So at least he doesn't have to cover the legal costs. So I spoke incorrectly just now, that at least he gets the money. Previous court awards for general damages for mental health harm have been in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. Hopefully this paves the way for significant increase in awards of general damages in sexual abuse claims in Victoria. Bleed the Catholic Church dry. Just bleed them dry of money. they commit crimes, they should pay for the crimes. Once again, we talked about the schools, right, for Indigenous children in Canada, and how the Catholic Church promised that they would pay reparations for all intents and purposes, and they've only paid a minuscule amount. And the Catholic Church has still not officially apologized for their role in the schools in taking Indigenous children from their parents and educating them. They still haven't apologized for that. All right, gonna check out the chat. I'm getting close, running up against the wall for time, everyone. Let's see. I think I'm catching up with everyone. Well, churches could house a lot of homeless people. That's right. Why turn them into condos? Make them just community centers, right, B? Just make them into a way of actually servicing the community as against to preying on the community. There's a pun there, and I'm sorry for that. I think I'm caught up. And let's do this funny thing here before we put a bow on this show, everyone.
On the local level, Mormons are really nice people. Go to church every Sunday, showing up at their steeples. They donate their money, they help out the poor. You can put them to work when they knock on your door. But if you dig a little deeper, the cracks start showing. If you've left the church, then you know where I'm going. Hiding their history, systemic misogyny, blatant dishonesty, gender inequality, purity culture, contradicting archaeology, trans and homophobic outdated ideology, historic atrocities, contradicting prophecies, total disregard for body autonomy, manipulation, shame, and threat of apostasy. This actually isn't a church-approved source, so I'm gonna have to ask you to turn it off. Like a light switch, just go flick, whoop, and forget about all that shit.
Yeah, I left the best video to the last. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the show. We covered so much. We talked a lot about Elizabeth Holmes, grifter, entrepreneur. Grifterpreneur? Is that a word? Grifterpreneur? I think that should, if it isn't a word, it should be a word. We talked about me being on the Free Thought Prophet show tonight on YouTube at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Talked about Joe Biden taking it to the anti-vaccinated. Talked about a couple of variants that are out and about. And of course, we talked about that survivor, the victim of sexual abuse by the hands of a priest. He got his payout for $1 million. Sounds like his life got ruined, because of it. And, no amount of money is going to help. And throwing the bums into jail wouldn't help. But it would make me feel better. I have to tell you that. I'll just be unashamed in saying that. I'm going to say it's like a Broadway song. That's right, Dr. Mordecai, I'm sorry. All right. Thank you, chat. Thank you, observers. Thank you, lurkers. I'm going to do the thank you video, and then we'll be back at 10 a.m. for the after party after show if you want to join us. Link is in the description below, everyone. I'll see you at 10. Thanks again.